Good evening. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pivot Poll. It's Friday night, so you know what this is. It is the Pivot Poll. So, like to just say thank you for joining us. Hi, Andretta.
Hello, everybody.
And just wanted to say thank you for joining us. And we're hoping that tonight's show will be very informative for you guys and that you will learn some things and we get a chance to talk to a breast cancer survivor. And she's going to tell us her story and her journey through breast cancer. So I'd like to introduce Ruth Gadson-Smith to everyone. Ruth and I have known each other for over 20 years. Uh,
Yes.
yes, it's been a long time. So we've worked together. We're sorority sisters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Oh my goodness. See, here we go. Here we go already on the pivot pole right now. There they are.
You know it. And it's just a pleasure to have you on today, Ruth, so that you can talk to our viewers about breast cancer and your journey. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and just tell us about your journey and your testimony.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm really very happy to be here. I'm so glad that you've asked me to join you and share my story. I think that hopefully this will help other women who are going through this at this time, and then other women who are not dealing with this but know how to help out a friend or a loved one who may be going through this, or if this happens to them. It's okay to feel however you feel about what you're going through.
Yeah.
I could tell you and share with you that in 2021, there was an estimated 1.9 million new cancer cases diagnosed, and there are over 600,000 cancer deaths that occurred in the United States just this year.
Wow.
I can tell you that in the US, women's lifetime, her risk of breast cancer is 1 in 8, with
Wow.
85% having no family history of breast cancer.
Mm.
And that African American women have a 31% cancer mortality rate. That's the highest of any racial or ethnic group.
Wow.
I can tell you that over the past 20 years, despite the universal drop in mortality rates, there is still a rise in the Black community, 4%, 42% higher when
Mm.
compared to white women.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
I can tell you that in addition to life stresses,
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy eating habits, and lack of exercise, which all contribute to this rise,
Yeah.
that there are things that we don't often think about that cause or may cause breast cancer or cancer, period, which is
Okay.
like the overuse of hair relaxers,
Mm.
Brazilian blowout treatments, even acrylic nails.
Really? Wow.
I can
Wow.
tell you all of those things, but all of those things may not even propel you to get a mammogram.
Mm.
And not just a mammogram, but pay the extra of asking the doctor for a sonogram, because I sat where you sat, where other women have sat, and I listened to speeches, I've listened to statistics, but it didn't move me to go to the doctor and get checked on a yearly basis.
Wow, Ruth. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that my personal journey will move you, move other women to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
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 My story begins in the summer of 2018.
Mhm.
My family and I, we were in the States. And as you know, I live in Okinawa, Japan. So
Mhm.
we were in the States for the summer. And I went through getting my yearly gynecological exams minus the mammogram.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And my doctor says to me, it's been more than 2 years since your last mammogram. So I need to schedule one for you. And if you've ever had a mammogram, and you have very large breasts, as I was a double D,
Mhm.
they smash your breast, try to flatten it out to get a good picture.
Yeah.
And honestly, those things, for me, it hurt.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like getting a mammogram.
Right.
But she said it's been more than 2 years. I need to schedule. So I hear her. I said to her, well, I don't feel any lumps and I'm on a time crunch today. So I'll just call back and make an appointment.
Yeah.
And I had no intention of calling back right away.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it was the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the States for a short period of time. I had places to go. I had things to do. So a mammogram was not on the list of priorities.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll think of penciling it in when I have more time. But for some reason, she just insisted. And I thank God for her insisting.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was God's way of speaking through her. But me not hearing and not wanting to hear this, I became annoyed with her.
Okay.
But I went ahead, I made the appointment just to appease her so she could stop talking. And I just knew I was fine. Why are we doing this? They're going to hurt my breast and then we're going to keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had the mammogram done that early July.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought nothing more of it. So fast forward to August, about a month later, and a week before I was to return to Okinawa, I get a phone call. And they said, we need to perform a sonogram. The doctor is concerned and just wants to follow up. So I go in because, it's just a sonogram. So this time it won't hurt like the mammogram did. And so I go in, and they say that Black women have a high tolerance of pain, for that mammogram. And I just want to let you know that's a lie. It didn't work. So I go in for the sonogram. It's better. The technician is looking at the screen and I'm looking at the screen, and I'm no doctor. So I don't know what I was looking at, but I was looking at that screen. My head was turned, looked at the screen. And then I would look at her face and I can't read either one.
Right.
And it's always funny when you're there with the radiologist, or I think that's what they're called. And they're looking at the screen and you're looking for a hint in their eyes, or
the truth,
and they say, oh, the doctor has to come in and talk to you, or we'll contact you in a few days. That's annoying. Have the doctor there and just tell me right then.
Absolutely.
So then she tells me she needs to go get the doctor and then she'll be right back. So I'm like, oh, this hasn't happened before. Usually they say we'll get back to you in a few days. So I'm thinking, okay, but it's nothing. They'll tell me that they see something that they need me to watch, and then I'll go on about my life.
Right.
So the doctor comes in and he says, I have some concerns and I want to do a biopsy on your left breast. And I'm calculating my time because we leave next week. So I explained that I live in Okinawa, yada, yada, and they squeeze me in for a rush biopsy. It ends up that my family returns to Okinawa and I stay back to get the results. So that's when I started worrying. I wasn't extremely concerned because, remember, it just wouldn't be me. I'm fine. But just a little concerned. And I also, breast cancer didn't run in my family. I had gotten the 23andMe BRCA test, and it showed that I didn't carry the breast cancer gene. So, I'm good.
Right.
All tripping. I'm good.
Exactly.
On a Friday in August, as I was arriving in Charlotte, North Carolina, I was going to hang out with sorority sisters during their regional conference at that time. I pull up to the convention center and my cell phone rings. And my doctor shares with me that I have ductal carcinoma in situ. And I sat in the car for a moment. I'm stunned. Like, I already said this wouldn't be me, so how is it me? So he went on to tell me that I would need to see a breast surgeon and an oncologist, and it was in a very large portion of my breast. It wasn't just one little area.
Right.
And so remember, I'm hearing this just before I was to walk into the convention center with full of happy and delighted sorority sisters.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I need to put on a happy face, go
Yeah.
into the convention center, uh, and just be happy, you know.
Yeah.
So that takes you back when I said, you know, you handle it in your own way because no one knows what you are going through,
Right.
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
behind your smile and your laugh.
Right.
I walked into that convention center and I said nothing to anyone about my diagnosis. I
Wow.
had to deal with it on my
Mm-hmm.
own.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I started thinking about the thoughts of what ifs, you know, what if it already spread? And what if I get surgery or chemo or radiation and it comes back? And what if I die during surgery? And then as a mother, you start worrying about leaving your children.
Children. Yeah.
And you think about all of those things that are deemed important in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you realize that they're not as important anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it changes your entire outlook
Mm-hmm.
on
Mhm.
life. You realize that you have to preserve the you.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me, I had to slow down, let things go,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because in the end, you begin to think about what's most important to you. And for me, it was my family.
Right.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to say is that in all the times that I did go to the doctor, I never mentioned that I had breast discharge, even years after breastfeeding.
Wow.
And
Oh, wow.
later on, I found out that that is a sign, could be a sign of breast cancer.
Okay.
Wow.
So please, if you're having any type of discharge, your kids are full grown and you're
Mm-hmm.
having discharge from your breast, please let your doctor know.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, you know, perhaps if I had told or said something that would have raised a concern. So I just urge you to tell your doctor everything.
Mhm.
And then, you know, like a whirlwind, everything started happening super fast. I met with the breast surgeon who said that my cancer was in a large area of my milk ducts. So
Okay.
that probably explains why I
Yeah.
was
The
leaking.
discharge. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Uh, so they couldn't remove only that certain portion of that area because it would leave the breast severely deformed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they needed to remove the entire breast and they wanted to do this surgery right away. But I want you to remember, ladies, too, that even when the doctor says, we need to do this right away, you take your time because this
Mm.
is about you and your body.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so I pushed things back. I needed to get myself together. I
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
to get my family together. I needed to get back to Okinawa, get things in order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but just remember, it's your body. You do what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to remove not just that one breast they suggested. I decided to remove both breasts
Okay.
because I didn't want to go through this ever again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to go through reconstruction of one breast and trying to match the other breast. And I
Yeah.
just, because they can't, television makes it look so easy.
Mhm.
Right.
It
Yeah.
makes it look like you come out this perfect, um, being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not the case.
Right.
Mhm.
And I also didn't want um, anything that's not natural inside of my body. You know, they would
Mm-hmm.
have to use the silicone and that kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing. So I didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had scheduled for that October. And
Mhm.
at the time, I did elect reconstruction. So
Okay.
when I first scheduled it, I did elect reconstruction because they
Mm-hmm.
told me that they could take tissue from my back or tissue from my stomach
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and make make two breasts.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, oh, okay, I can get a tummy tuck
I knew you
and
were gonna say
breast.
that.
I'll just wake up off the
I'm
table,
trying to get her.
With your
model ready, so looking fine and fabulous. Um, but then when I returned to the States that October, the surgeon had to change her schedule. And so we ended up moving it to December. And then about a week before my surgery, and I don't know what's up with this whole week before thing, it's
Mhm.
always a week before.
Okay.
I get a call from the surgeon that they can't do it all in one fell swoop. So I wouldn't wake up off the table with my little tummy tuck and some new breasts.
Okay.
That I would need to have two separate surgeries. And so
Mm.
that was the moment that I said, forget it.
Yeah.
I'm not going under twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I canceled the reconstruction.
Mhm.
After my double mastectomy, it's also called a bilateral.
Okay.
After that, during my follow-up, I learned that my margins, because they also check to see if the cancer had spread and they just didn't know at the time, couldn't see it. I found out that my cancer did spread, and so that I wasn't an actual stage 0, because they told me the DCIS was a stage 0, that I was actually a stage 1.
Okay.
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 And so that I would have to undergo radiation
Mhm.
every day for 6 weeks.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
And for me, that was under a machine that pumps the radiation into your body.
Mm-hmm.
They pinpoint the very section that needs to be radiated,
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
and you have to wear something over you, because this is high doses of radiation going into
Yeah.
your body.
Mm-hmm.
So it damaged my skin. My
Okay.
skin was darkened and peeling, and
Mhm.
um, it hurt sometimes, because I don't know if you've ever had like a little burn,
Mhm.
and when it starts healing, your so that radiation is like burning your
Oh
skin,
wow. Oh wow.
and
Okay.
so it starts peeling,
Yeah.
and it's tough
Mm.
Okay.
to the touch. So you
Yes.
have to use creams and things like that. But I
Mhm.
said, hey, that's better than having cancer spreading through my body. So I'm
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I did that every day for 6 weeks. Um, all in all, I was away from my family in Okinawa for 6 months, but I'm now breastless. I don't know
Mhm.
if you can see, I'm no breast,
Okay.
and I'm cancer free. I'm happy.
Amen.
I thank God for
Amen.
the doctor who insisted that
Yes.
I
Insist.
schedule a
Yes.
mammogram.
Yes.
That was nothing but God. And so I just urge you to get your yearly breast checkups. Husbands and boyfriends, I urge you to impress upon your significant other
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
that they need to get their breast checked.
Yeah.
And, let's be honest here, men often, your husbands, boyfriends often touch your breast more than you do.
Right.
They would oftentimes may feel that lump before you
Exactly.
do. So they need to take the time. They can do the breast exam for
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so this October, as we move through October, I want you to
Mhm.
get a mammogram. Just
Yeah.
make it a yearly thing every October to get a mammogram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you're nervous or scared, take someone with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's change those statistics
Right.
and the plight of the black community.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
that's
thank
my
you.
story.
Wow.
Wow.
It
A
was so
true
good.
testimony.
Mhm.
Yes, a true testimony. So Ruth, tell me, how did, because you were away from your family for 6 months, and
Mhm.
you have, um,
You're breaking up.
Mhm.
I said how did it feel to can you talk about being away from your family for so long? How did that impact you,
Okay.
being away from your family and dealing with your own recovery?
Right.
Yes. Okay. That was very difficult, because actually it was the first year of my daughter going into high school. So it's her ninth grade year. And
Okay.
as in ninth grade, that's it's very important to maintain a high GPA and so
Mhm.
forth. And I didn't realize, even though I called and FaceTime and so forth, I didn't realize how much it affected her
Wow.
at the
Okay.
time. She
Yeah.
she was putting on that strong face
Okay.
for me,
Yeah.
I'm fine, mom, and so forth. And she kept her grades up, a couple
Mhm.
C's, but
Mhm.
for the most part, she kept her grades up. She
Mhm.
was on the cheerleading team and things like
Mhm.
that. And so I thought she was doing fine. And later on, it wasn't right away. It was a
Mhm.
few years later. I'm talking to her about it, and she said, "It was tough for me, mom, that you weren't
Oh,
here."
yeah.
So I haven't had this conversation with my boys. They're 8 and 12. You know, boys handle things a little bit differently. So I'm
Mhm.
sure that it was tough on the whole family.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was tough for me too because, not being there
Yeah. Because
with
I know, because a lot of
several things.
people,
Yeah.
it's
And then
different
my
when,
son, oh, sorry.
go ahead. Go
Oh, I
ahead.
was going to say that my youngest son was in Japanese preschool, like kindergarten.
Mhm.
And so I missed his kindergarten graduation and everything. So they had me FaceTime so I could watch it. So that was sad
Yeah.
I was sad to miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. This has been I've really enjoyed just hearing your story, your testimony. And I want to ask you something because this is what popped into my mind as you were sharing your story. When you had I think you call it bilateral double mastectomy, did you have to work through, psychologically, I guess, the change in your body, looking at the change in your body? I've always wondered if that affects people and they have to make an adjustment to this new presentation. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yes, yes, it absolutely makes sense. For a lot of women, you have your breasts for
Yeah.
most of your life,
Mhm.
a lot longer without having breasts. You have
Right.
breasts,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
so yes, it was a psychological change to get used to not having any breasts. But I
Mhm.
also want to say, for me though,
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
a double D. I was very, very large. I
Okay.
really didn't like my breasts very much anyway
Okay. Got you.
because they weren't perky. And
Okay.
I mean, on all honesty, I didn't like them very
Okay.
much.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I've always wanted a breast reduction,
Mhm.
Not like
but
this,
I
though.
couldn't afford it, never got it, just
Right. Right.
dealt with it. So
Mhm.
now I'm so happy I don't have to wear a bra.
Okay.
I could
Got you.
just put on a little tank top and I'm just too happy.
Okay.
I'm
Got you.
really, in fact, I even have, that's just me. Other
Mhm.
women, it just depends on you and how you feel about your body. But I
Mhm.
even have prosthetics
Okay.
I don't even wear.
Okay.
I've never
Yeah.
worn them.
Oh
Wow.
wow. Okay.
So,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Okay.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
it is a big adjustment for
Yeah.
some people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ruth, tell me,
Absolutely.
where are you now? This has been a true journey for you. And um where's your mindset now in comparison to where it was when you were here in 2018? Um if you could.
That's such a good question because I forgot to mention that I really and truly thank God that this happened to me.
Mhm.
Uh, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
Once this happened to me, later on I found out that my mom has breast cancer.
Oh,
And I
yes.
was so happy that I went through this so that now I can help her through this journey. And
Mhm.
I be able to talk to her about things and the right questions to ask your doctor. And even, with the mistakes that I made and not asking this and so forth, that I could be there for her. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just really thank God that I was able to go through this journey for someone else, in my opinion, for someone
Yeah.
else, to be
Right.
there for someone else. Because had she been the first person, I wouldn't know how to help her
Right.
Right.
at all,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So things that
Exactly.
I've learned. So I appreciate that. And so now for any other woman that's going through
Mhm.
it, now I can say, okay, I've been through it and may want to ask this question or go
Yeah.
here or check this. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
And
That's
So
awesome.
as far as my mindset, I'm I'm great.
okay. And so tell me, how important is it to have a support system
Mhm.
in your opinion? How important is that?
Mhm.
It's very important. But one thing that I want to point out in the support system,
Mhm.
for some people, like for me,
Mhm.
I needed to seclude myself
Okay.
away from everyone.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
didn't tell a whole lot of people.
Mhm.
in fact, lots of people didn't find out until after my journey was over, and they said, "What? You were going through this, and why
Right.
didn't you tell me? I would have been there." I had to deal with it on my own, and so I want people to realize, however you deal with it,
Right.
it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, that's
And
good.
so that support system,
Mhm.
the women that did know, they understood that I didn't need them to
Mhm.
call me every day. I
Right.
didn't need that. I just needed them to understand that sometimes I just wanted to be alone in my own thoughts,
Mhm.
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. Um, and there were some times that I was sad,
Mhm.
uh, but that's okay too,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because you're thinking about, you have breast cancer, but what if you have cancer in another place one day,
Right.
and
Right.
so forth. So I had to deal with it on my own. And so that support system needs to understand that the person may not want you around all the time.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
may not want you there. They're constantly talking to them, calling them. And then there are some people who may want that. So
Mhm.
you
Right.
just have to understand what your friend needs and
Yes.
be okay with how they choose to deal
That's so good. Oh my
with
goodness.
their
That is so
needs.
good. That is so, I have to jump in.
And
That
you can straight up ask them.
Yes. I'm loving that because everybody is so different, and she is speaking to she talking my language now. Is really because understanding people for who they are, not getting offended, not feeling like they don't want you around, taking it personal, because everybody really doesn't navigate different situations differently. We all do navigate it in our own way to survive, to, because I was thinking earlier when you were saying, what if I have this? And I was like, I wonder how she was able to quiet, or settle in with the what ifs, because I can imagine the mental, challenge or struggle. Because I've had my own diagnosis. We talked about it on the show. Heather has had hers, and you can get into that mental place where you're like, okay, just what if this and what's that, what if that, and and whatever people need to do to deal with that, we have to allow space, and allow grace and love and just whatever that person needs to get through it. I think that is so very key. So thank you for sharing that, because we do need to know how to support.
Yeah, mhm. The unfortunate thing is that everyone doesn't realize that.
Yeah.
And I did lose some
Yeah.
friends
I was about to say that. Yeah.
because of that, because
Yeah.
I needed to be my own me.
Yeah.
I people there were some people who got offended and
Yeah.
unfriended me on Facebook,
Oh
honey.
wow.
It's just like, I'm
Wow.
mad that you didn't tell me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, that's so
Hmm.
good. And that's key if we can take that away. Like one of the big things that we can take away, because on the pivot pole, we've talked about friendships and how, we've supported one another, with the type of support she needs, the type of supports. And Heather and I are on a different sides of the spectrum in personality, even. And so, we've talked about that. And that's one of the things we've tried to really stress is allowing people the grace and space to be who they are and knowing how to show up for them. And sometimes showing up is not showing up. Like showing up is, giving them, because I
Right.
have plenty of
Right.
showing up is not
Yeah.
showing up. I've had plenty of people on Facebook that they're like, thanking God for my 1 year anniversary of being cancer free. And you're like, wait a minute, that person had cancer. When did they have cancer? And I realized people, they came through, so they did what worked for them. And that's the blessing. So
Yep.
that's awesome. That's awesome
Hmm.
advice. Awesome
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah. So, Ruth, what advice would you give? I know you mentioned husbands and boyfriends and partners, and what advice would you give them with for their significant others that are going through this journey? What advice would you give them?
The, the advice I would give to them is that they have to be extremely understanding, because
Mhm.
this is a big change in a
Yeah.
woman's body. We are so used to having, like I said, our breasts, our
Mhm.
menstrual cycle. It's there with us. It's a
Yeah.
part of us. And when those things
Yeah.
change, it does affect us mentally.
Yes.
So men have to be extremely understanding
Yeah.
about what you're going through mentally, because this change, you sometimes you feel that this changes you as a woman.
Yeah.
I also want to mention I'm on tamoxifen for 5 years. They put me in for 5 years.
Mhm.
And so sometimes the medication will affect you as
Mhm.
well. I don't want to engage
Mhm.
um, as often. And so that you have to be okay with finding ways to love in other ways.
Wow,
Gotcha.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. Wow.
Gotcha.
I
Gotcha.
love that.
That
Wow.
makes sense. That
Wow.
makes
That's
sense.
wonderful.
Wow. Well, Ruth, I thank you for being open to
Mhm.
talk about your journey, because a lot of people are not as candid, uh,
Yeah.
and don't tell the truth all the time about
Mhm.
how they really feel. It's about what how society thinks they should feel. um, and I'm glad that you took it into your own hands to handle your journey the way that you wanted to handle
Mhm.
your journey.
It's good.
And I think
Mhm.
that can free up some women
Yes. Come on
um,
now.
to
Hmm.
help them
Because
understand.
we always want to please other people, and because we always want to please other people, we
Yep,
feel bad taking time
Yeah.
for ourselves.
that's
Come
right.
on now.
And so that's what you have to do in order to heal. You have to take time for yourself and
Yes.
stop
Yes.
people pleasing all the time.
Come on now. All right.
You know,
Ruth is preaching
we
on
brought the preach.
Ruth is preaching on that is so true. Oh my goodness, you freeing me, and I mean, this is not even the same subject, but I'm feeling that. That is so true
Mhm.
because I was thinking that, Heather, as you were saying what you were saying to Ruth about taking charge of your own recovery and entering into what you need to do for you, because like she said, as women, sometimes we feel so guilty for deciding to care for us
Yes.
because we're such caretakers that sometimes you got to stop and say, listen, if I'm gonna still be here, I need to do this for me and
That
let
part.
Right, that part. Exactly.
yeah, this is good to
Exactly.
me. This is
Exactly. Yeah,
really good.
because you have to. I mean, like I said, I can only imagine. I mean, it's not like your children and your husband were down the street.
Right.
They were in Okinawa, Japan, and you were in Georgia.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you had
Right.
to make some decisions to take care of you so that you could continue to take care of them. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Right.
Be a
you
part of
know,
their lives. Yeah. And
yeah,
I
and
think too, we both got our mammograms too here recently. And I have gone way too long without a mammogram. Like I can't even tell you. I was ashamed when they looked and said, well, when is the last time? I was like, we don't want to, let's move on. But it had been a while and I got it. And it was because of this October Breast Cancer Awareness and Support Month. I went and got it. And the thing about it, you go, it's over before you know it, but it's something, even though it's quick, yes, it's unpleasant, but it's over before you know it. And now you're taking steps to really, protect yourself and check yourself out. And so I was glad we did this just for my own health sake because I
yeah,
hadn't been in so long. And so Heather went as well. So yeah,
yeah. I have a
Yeah,
follow
we
up.
as Black women. Okay.
yeah.
So I have a
I was just
follow up
going to say
on
we as
Monday.
Hmm.
a follow up on Monday. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I have to have a
Oh,
sonogram and another
Hmm.
okay.
because
Yeah.
we come from the same double D-ish realm,
Is that what it is?
same double D-ish realm. Um, but
Right.
but yeah, so I have to have a follow up. They saw some stuff that they just wanna check out. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
Well, I'll
grateful that.
definitely be praying for you.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just grateful that we have, even though it hurts,
yeah.
I'm glad that we have the medical technology
Mm.
in place to to help women out. So
Yeah, and that's the thing with Black women. We have to start taking charge of our own health.
Yes. Mhm.
When one doctor says no, find a
Mhm.
different doctor.
Right.
Insist on some things,
Yes.
especially that part, because I mean, studies have shown that they truly believe that
Mhm.
we as Black women have a high tolerance for pain.
Yeah,
We as Black people have a high tolerance
I've
for
heard that
pain.
medically.
And
Yeah.
that is not true. And
Mhm.
so they don't prescribe us various medical things
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
prescriptions and things, thinking
Mhm.
that they'll handle it or they'll just get
Mhm.
over it. And I think
Mhm.
that goes also to that strong Black women trope
Yeah. Yeah.
where we are just, even in our pain, we
Mhm.
are still helping
Yes.
and pleasing others. But
Yes.
we really have to take control of our own health and
Mhm.
say, no, I don't agree with this. I'm
Mhm.
going to get a second opinion because
Right.
what your doctor says is not end all to be all,
That's the
Right.
truth.
you know.
Mhm.
And find the doctors that you are comfortable with, that you
Right.
can open up to.
Too.
Yeah.
And it was great for me to have a female, Black female surgeon
Mhm.
who was phenomenal.
Okay.
Wow. That's
And you
awesome.
know, Ruth, I just thought about this. It was interesting how your story progressed because if you had not taken the time to just do your mammogram when she asked you, you would have been in Okinawa.
Mhm.
And I don't know how the healthcare
Absolutely.
systems are in Okinawa, but that would have been possibly a challenge
Mhm. Mhm.
for you.
Absolutely.
You know, so God orchestrates things.
I was thinking the same word.
Yes.
Yeah. I was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way that
Wow.
He orchestrates
Because
things.
I I would have had to go on base to medical on base, and they don't have the facility to handle breast cancer. So they would have sent you out anyway. They do the mammograms, but that's in the sonogram, that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
They send you out to have your surgeries and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been a challenge because I'm a civilian, not a military
Right.
dependent. So as a civilian, that's a whole nother realm of things.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. This has been gold tonight. I
yeah,
fully.
so everything was orchestrated by God.
It
Absolutely.
was. It
Was.
was. And I love that about how God just, when you look back, and we had shared some things on the show too, is sometimes when you're in the moment, you can say, "Oh my God, thank God for that." And but when you have an opportunity to kind of look back over the whole circumstance, the whole thing, you just see how God's hand was in everything. Like, okay, a week before, and then it's right before you had to make a major transition, that interruption, which possibly could have saved your life. You see what I'm saying? And how God just does that. He is so faithful in his ways, in the way that he keeps us. And so I just give him the praise for your story. I mean, it's amazing. And
Amen.
that's what we wanted to have you here to
Yeah.
encourage, our viewers and those who may watch the replay, how, yes, we walk through different things, but she's representing a person who walked through and survived and is here to encourage you. Hey, do what you have to do, get your mammograms, go through, the proper steps to, like she said, take charge of your own health, because it is key critical, especially for us. And learning what we did from the doctor last week, uh,
Yeah.
learned some things I did not know about breast cancer. And I was glad to go get that mammogram after last week's show. I mean, 2 weeks ago, the show that we had, because there were some things I just didn't know and understand
Yeah.
about breast cancer. And so I was going in there like, okay, let me go get this mammogram, because it's been too long. And so, it's been really great learning and understanding things I didn't before. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for
Absolutely.
me, this, we all either pay attention in October for breast cancer
Mhm.
awareness month and support, or we just let this month go by.
Right.
And I'm glad that, we decided to
Right.
consciously
Hmm.
stop and take a look at this month and, breast cancer awareness and support and how it affects women and how it affects
Hmm.
African American women,
Hmm.
um, greatly.
Yeah.
Um, and I think because of what we've done for this month, our
Mhm.
walks and
Mhm.
our encouragements and
Right.
having the doctor on and then having Ruth on, I
Yeah.
think, even if we've just touched one person
Right.
who says, you know what, I'm going to get up and I'm going to schedule my mammogram,
Right.
or one person who's currently going through their journey and their support systems are not supporting them the way they feel that they need to be supported.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just glad that we were able to use this platform for
Right.
this month in order to show women that it's okay,
Mhm.
and that you will get through it with God's help, God's blessings,
Mhm.
um, and the support of those who love you and who really care about you. So
Yeah.
I'm just glad that we decided to do this. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. So Ruth, any
Me too. I'm
parting?
glad you did. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Any parting encouragement? Any nuggets you got for our viewers?
The only thing I can say is leave with this, take charge of your health and go get your mammogram.
All
Mhm.
right. All right. All right. Andretta, you got any other?
I'm just, thank you so much, Ruth, for taking the time out and coming to share your journey with us. It was such a blessing. I just connected with everything you were saying. And I hope that our viewers did. I know that they did and they will. And so thank you so much for being so open and transparent as you were here today. And I just honor you so much for your time. And I just want you guys, as she said, let's take charge. Let's do the things that we need to do. And so that's my spiel. I feel good about it. I've loved this show tonight. So yeah,
Yes, very good. Well,
thank
thank you
you.
again, guys, for joining the Pivot Poll. We will see you in 2 weeks,
Mhm.
um, and continue to walk.
Yes.
Continue to walk. We've got a few more days in October, and make sure that you schedule that mammogram. If you can't get it in October, it's fine, but just schedule. Get on a doctor's books and schedule your mammogram.
And one more thing before Ruth leaves, I wanted to, if you guys are interested in finding her on Facebook, we wanted to ensure that you guys know that you can find her at Leadership is a Lifestyle. So make sure you go search her out if you just want to find out more about her and what she's about. I know she's a woman of excellence. I've seen some of your work, and Heather talks about you all the time. I've been telling her, I said, I want to go over there. And she says, I know somebody. And I'm like, please ask her. If she's asked you, it's probably
Come
my fault
on.
because I've been begging. Definitely go search her out on social media, and just wanted to make sure we put that out there for those who may be interested.
Yes, Ruth, do you want to talk a little bit
Thank
about
you.
your leadership is a lifestyle? You want to talk about that a little bit, about what you do?
Oh goodness. That actually started before my journey began, just talking about ways to be a better leader. And so I'm embarrassed to say
Mhm.
that during my journey I didn't touch it touch it
I
that
understand.
often. And so shortly thereafter I haven't been on it as active, but I need to get back to it. So
Okay.
thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for sharing that. People
Mhm.
can message me at Leadership's the Lifestyle. I still do check it,
Mhm.
but I need to start talking about leadership
Mhm.
more on
Mhm.
there. So you've
Yeah.
given me a challenge. I need to take charge of doing what I'm supposed to be doing,
Yes. Yes. All
which is
righty.
helping people with their leadership journey. So
Yes.
Hey, all right,
Yes.
that sounds good.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us again, and we will see you in two
thank
weeks.
you.
Bye bye.